finally spring break, bro! Finally time for me to talk to you guys even more. I know I haven't been posting videos every weekend, but I am trying to work on that because now, guess what? I have more going on. More as in, more little fun things to talk to you about, and if you could read my script fast and I just flashed it up, I'm going to be talking about U of A baseball because I just covered my first U of A baseball series, and let me tell you, I had such a good time. So I have not previously mentioned this on my channel because it came around mid-February or so, but I think it was February 11th to be specific. I actually got a job with AZ Desert Swarm, which is a SB Nation blog which covers my local University of Arizona teams. And I don't know if I've also mentioned, but I'm currently committed to University of Arizona, so I thought the two just went hand in hand, and what else would I rather do than, cover sports? Obviously this is what I love. So, given that opportunity, I actually get to go and I get media passes so I can go photograph games and talk about the games. I have yet to get post-game interviews. I'm really excited to go do that, but right now, all I've done is photograph the games and write some articles about them. So if you guys are interested in reading any of my works, I actually have covered 2 of U of A's hockey games, both ones against ASU to close out their season. Unfortunately, they did not make the national tournament in Columbus. And I have now also covered 2 U of A baseball games, so that's really neat. I also covered a Tucson Roadrunners game that I actually did not write about. I only took photos for, which was, again, super exciting, had a great time. So if you're interested in seeing any of my work, you can check out those articles. I will link you to my SB Nation little profile down below so you can see everything that I've written, everything that I've been credited on, all my photos, all that fun stuff. So now let's roll on to the baseball game. Or games, I guess, yeah. So Friday, first ever game I covered, super exciting, fun. Got to go in the dugout, sit in the little photographer's well right next to the dugout. And let me tell you, baseball boys are gross. They're funny though, and I love baseball. I don't think I'll ever not love baseball. So great experience overall. But let's skip on to that. I can make a whole other video about that if you guys want. We won 21-5. I mean, what else can you ask for? It was an incredible win. I mean, I know U of A baseball is good, but that good? Pretty much the entire story of the game actually wound up being Arizona capitalizing on Hartford's errors of how everything was just slipping through their hands, and also their pitching struggles, because, boy, I have never seen a team struggle so much when it comes to pitching. I mean, 3 consecutive guys were walked in one of the innings. It was just an absolute mess. I mean, absolutely nothing was going right for Hartford pitching. But before any of that even happened, Hartford goes up to bat first in the top of the first, and, we sort of let up a 2-run homer, and all of a sudden we're down 2-0. And, us coming off that really rough sort of 2-2 run when we were in Texas, I'm sort of like, are we really gonna lose? Are we really gonna lose today? And I mean, at the time I didn't know that Hartford was 1-6, so I didn't know they were that bad and we had a really good chance of winning, but I was sort of a little concerned. So our half of the inning rolls around, and all of a sudden JJ has gotten us on the board with a double, and now Rivas reaches home on an error, and all of a sudden we are tied. So thank goodness, you sort of have some hope back in you. So much is going on within the first inning. So all of a sudden, now we are back to being really offensive, and so then we're tied 2-2 going out of the first, and when we reach the end of 3 innings, well, Arizona has scored 12 runs, and these 12 runs were seen by their pitcher DeVito, and feel really bad for the kid. They were not all earned runs because of errors, but that's a lot of runs to let up through 3 innings. I mean, we didn't let up that many runs. We did a lot better than that. And sort of that was after his not too hot start. After that was just sort of, it set up the rest of the pitchers who relieved him just for bad times is pretty much all I can say, because nobody else really had a stellar outing either, obviously because they let up 21 runs. The pitcher who relieved DeVito was Brian Stepniak, and he did not have much luck on the mound either, because in his first inning, the 4th inning, he let up a 2-run homer straight into right field by Rivas, and absolute beauty of a hit. It was just gorgeous, and all of a sudden Arizona's leading. We're having a good time. It's about like 8:30 at night now. It's not as hot out. The weather's nice, and you're just having a good time at this point. I mean, unless your Hartford's pitching, because it just continues getting worse from there. Because let's roll around to the 8th inning, which is quite possibly the worst inning for Hartford's pitching, because their freshman pitcher, he let up 7 runs, and my gosh, he saw all of this mayhem, and he actually walked 3 consecutive batters, so you can sort of see it was really rough for them, because it wasn't even just us getting singles or doubles and actually getting on base that was hurting them. It was more of us getting hit by baseballs and us, waiting on pitches and actually getting walked that really wound up hurting them in the end. So it wasn't even like that we were stellar out there. Arizona was amazing, but it was more of the fact that Hartford just couldn't keep it under control. And if they could have probably thrown just a couple more strikes, it probably would have been a more well-fought, tighter game than it actually turned out to be. In fact, we were walked a total of 10 times. 3 of those which were actually being 3 different players being hit by pitches, and one of those was Rivas, pretty much right after he had homered. So, pretty nifty, right? Yeah, dude just gets drilled by a baseball after he just drilled one right out of the park. Not really feeling that too much, but won 21-3 anyways, a huge win. That was the most runs that they had actually scored all of this year. They had never actually scored 21 runs this season, so really big deal, sort of like not career, but like season best. But, that would soon be beat out by the very next game with 25 runs. So Saturday rolls around and we are feeling pretty confident, but on to the game. Our starting pitcher was Michael Flynn, a sophomore actually. And I had actually seen him the previous day, and I saw he had really nice hair, I thought, and I was like, hey, I wonder who this kid is. I wonder, if he's going to play or anything, because we have a lot of guys in the dugout, so I was like, okay, who's actually playing today? And so I actually saw him. I saw him go on the mound, and I was like, all right, this is my boy. This is a boy with some nice hair, because actually there's a lot of boys on the baseball team with some pretty cool hair. I hope they see this, and I hope they know that they have really sweet hair, because, hey, you know what? Half of baseball is about the game, and the other half is about the flow. I mean, maybe I'm just a hockey fan, so that's what I think, but it's part way about the hair, because let's look at Noah Syndergaard, and what's that game about? It's about that fastball, and it's about that hair, let's not lie. So he steps up to the mound. I'm pretty excited, getting some pretty cool shots of him, because getting shots of pitchers is probably the coolest thing in the world, just because they all have different windups and they all throw differently, and you can even see the grips on some of your shots, and it's really neato, I gotta say. So he steps up there. I'm pretty excited until 2 runs are on the scoreboard against us in the first inning, which, yes, that sounds very familiar, but I'm still really not feeling it, because it wasn't like it was a 2-run homer. It was multiple different plays. It was guys getting on base, errors, because one of the runs wound up being earned and the other was not. So it felt like there were so many errors going on. It felt like Hartford was finally finding all the holes, and they were just hitting the ball right. So I got really nervous when they had a little meeting. All the infielders had a little meeting on the mound, and I saw Flynn talking about, like, oh, I hold the ball like this. I don't know what he was saying, but I could see his gestures about, like, holding a ball. And so I was like, okay, please let this work out. And guess what? It wound up working out. He actually wound up striking out 2 batters later that inning, which I love strikeouts. I am a sucker for strikeouts. I am a sucker for curveballs. That was awesome to see that. I was tweeting out about that. I was like, oh, hell yeah, I got a strikeout. And he wound up getting a total of 4 strikeouts that game, which pretty impressive in my book. And 2 of those actually came in the bottom of the 4th inning, when he struck out 2 consecutive batters to end the inning. So if you ask me, I would say Flynn had a pretty good outing, because those 2 runs on the scoreboard were actually the only 2 runs that were up there while he was on the mound. He saw no more runs tallied up there while he was out there. So, you know what? Might be Hartford, but I still think that's pretty damn good. The 4 pitchers that came after him, Deason, Goins, Aguilera, and Labout, they also saw just 1 inning apiece, and total they allowed just 4 hits. So while you thought at the beginning maybe our pitching's getting a little weak, maybe we're a little worried about losing to Hartford, nope, not at all. We only allowed 3 runs the entire time, so We are on top of it. We are good defensively. We are good offensively. I mean, what else more can you ask from Arizona baseball? Because when I say that we are good offensively, I'm really not joking, because the 5th inning saw 12 runs scored by Arizona. 12. And it was so good that 7 different players saw RBIs within that inning, and actually Lewis was the only one to actually score, bring runners home on 2 different at-bats. So while everybody else was like, oh, I got 3 RBIs on one, he actually got 1 RBI one at-bat and 1 RBI on another at-bat later in the inning. So you can really see how offensively powered we are, because 12 runs. That's crazy. That is the most runs we've scored in a single inning all season, and probably before that. But honestly, I was not able to find that stat. I figured it's probably going to go back a while to when we last scored 12 runs in a single inning, because that's just insane. Quintana got the only home run of that game in the 5th inning, which I remember that home run actually because I had been actually shooting because it was so hot out, I didn't shoot the entire game. I shot a couple innings here and there. I actually shot the 4th inning, and I went on to shoot the 5th inning. Well, I sort of had a feeling about the 5th inning and was like, you know what, something's going to happen, because I was getting hungry, I was getting really tired, and I was like, okay, I really need to go get something to drink and sort of relax and refresh, because I just don't do well with the sun. Yeah, born and raised in Arizona, and I don't do well with the sun. Great, right? So I was like, okay, I need to go do something, I need to, calm down. And I was like, no, I gotta stay here though, I gotta get the shots, because something's going to happen. And, I see it, I see the home run, and I'm like, alright, cool. And we only had 1 out on the board after the home run, and I was like, something else is gonna happen. I have a feeling about it. I'm like, I just need to go find myself some nachos and go up to the press box and relax though. I'm like, I think I got a lot of shots for today. The heat is just getting to me. And guess what? I was right. There wound up being a lot happening in that game, and that inning. A lot happened in the game, but in that inning in particular, yeah, it would have been rough if I would have stayed out there for the entire inning shooting it. Would have got a lot of cool shots, but that would have been pretty rough, I would say. So, long story short, Arizona tallies a few more runs here and there through the rest of the innings and winds up winning 25-3. Yes, absolutely incredible. So incredible that it was actually the most runs that they had scored in a single game since May 13th, 2006, when they played Washington State, and they scored 29 runs. Yeah, 29, and we scored 25. The other closest, I believe we scored like 24 a few years back. I believe it was in 2012. But yeah, most runs scored since 2006. Absolutely incredible. Our lead was also the biggest lead that we've had since that game as well. So, I mean, this was sort of a legendary game, I guess you could say, for Arizona baseball, and really fortunate to be a part of it. It was super exciting to watch as well. So let's move on to the last game of the matchup, which was on Sunday at 1 p.m. So that means blistering heat, which I actually was not able to attend the game because I had, midterm exams and different stuff going on that day, so I wasn't able to cover it, wasn't able to photograph it, but I still wanted to cover it for you guys, especially because it was actually the pretty tight game. So Arizona won 17-13, and that was mainly due to the fact that they had a lot of pitching struggles that day. Because they had a pitching change that started in the 1st, they also had one in the 2nd, and they had one in the 5th. Now from there, they sort of changed every inning just to put in relievers and closers. But early on they had a lot of struggles, and it wasn't actually until the 4th inning that Arizona led in the game. Now, of course, they continued on leading, and they actually won, but we were always tied up in the 1st, or we were winning in the 1st inning. So to actually be down in a game and not on the board until the 4th inning, well, we were on the board earlier in the game, but to finally be winning in the 4th inning is actually very concerning, and it must have been a very scary time for the fans there, considering how badly we had beaten Hartford in the previous games. A really interesting stat that I saw from the game was that we actually had a total of 3 steals within just the 5th inning. And 2 of those were by Lewis and 1 was by Rivas, which stolen bases don't happen all that often, so for 3 of them to happen in a single inning, I thought that was pretty neato, and I sort of think about the fact that probably would have made for some pretty cool photos as well. But, I mean, that doesn't even matter. That's, whatever. When it comes to Jared Oliva's grand slam that puts Arizona ahead 9-7. I mean, I saw this outfielder on the first day that I was there, and I saw him play, and I thought, damn, this kid is really good. Like, I need to keep my eye on this kid. Because he was out there, he was making great catches, had a presence when he stepped into the box, and he was at bat, and I mean, this kid just really knows how to play baseball, and I absolutely love watching him play. He is just an awesome guy, honestly. I would say if I had like a star of the weekend, he would probably make one of those 3 stars, honestly. If not the first, just because I was so overall impressed with his play, because he sort of jumped out from me on the box score, and I mean, a grand slam, that's awesome. What else can I really say about that? So pardon me while I read this off, but I actually found out these stats from Arizona Baseball on their Twitter, and these are actually some pretty neato stats from the weekend, because they had a total of 63 runs, 18 extra base hits, 54 RBIs, 59 hits, a .454 batting average, 3 home runs, and 3 wins. And those are some pretty stellar stats, I gotta say. I mean, the 63 runs, I feel really bad for Hartford, because, I mean, now they're like 1-8 after being here, and to let up 63 runs, that's gotta really, really hurt your morale. And I mean, the .454 batting average overall is just insane. I just don't know what to say about that. Like, we had an absolutely incredible weekend, and this definitely makes me have... I already liked Arizona baseball, but I have definitely a more positive outlook on their future. So this is my first time recapping U of A sports, and I want to know what you guys thought about it, because I know there is a very large University of Arizona fan base out there, me being one of them, obviously. So I want to know what you guys thought of it, like if there was anything else you guys wanted me to add, if there was anything, obviously, yeah, same thing, left out, or anything you really liked about this video, anything else you would like me to cover. I would really like to cover, actually, our basketball team and how they made it to March Madness, and I am really upset how they are a 2nd seed and not a number 1 seed, because after watching them play and after watching them beat Oregon, UCLA, all these really good teams, sort of robbed about the fact and upset about the fact that we were given a 2nd seed and not a 1st seed, but whatever. So if you guys are interested in me covering any of that stuff, please let me know down in the comments. Share this video with your friends if they're big into U of A or they're big into ASU and you want to piss them off. You can do that too. Also, don't forget to check out my articles that I write and also my photos for AZ Desert Swarm, which you can check below. There's a lot of great content on there that I'm not involved in, and you guys really should check it out because it is a very, very extensive coverage of everything having to do with the U of A and Tucson. And I love the blog. I mean, maybe got a little bit of bias, but it's a great place you should definitely check out. See, we have a lot of different stuff going on right now, given that now March Madness has begun, so definitely hop into that, check out the link below. Thank you guys for all the support you've given me and allowing me to, continue to do what I love to do and have fun making videos and talking about sports. So thank you guys for all your support.